Robot Wars, The Adventure of John and Luke. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived two best friends named John and Luke. They were both fascinated by robots and had always dreamed of building their own fighting robot to enter in the annual Robot War competition. John and Luke had always been interested in robotics and technology. They would often spend their free time tinkering with electronics and building small robots. But building a robot for the Robot War competition was a whole different level of challenge. They knew that it would take a lot of time and effort to build a robot that could compete with the other entries. One day, while rummaging through Luke's garage, they stumbled upon an old robot that Luke had built when he was a kid. It was rusty and in need of repairs, but John and Luke saw potential in it. They decided to give it a makeover, adding armor and weapons to turn it into a fierce fighting machine. They spent the next few weeks working on the robot, day and night. They added new motors, servos, and sensors. They designed and built a new chassis, and added a powerful weapon system. They worked tirelessly, testing and tweaking the robot until it was ready for the competition. Their first fight in the competition was against a robot built by the school's robotics club. John and Luke were nervous, but they had done their research and knew their robot's strengths and weaknesses. They managed to outmaneuver their opponents and emerged victorious. Their second fight was against a robot built by a group of older students. They had a tough time in this match, as the other robot was much larger and more powerful than theirs. But John and Luke were determined not to give up. They came up with a strategy to use their robot's agility and quickness to dodge the other robot's attacks, and managed to land a few well-placed hits of their own, ultimately winning the match. The final match was against a robot built by the reigning champion, who had won the competition for the past 3 years. John and Luke were excited and nervous, but they knew they had a chance to win. The final fight was intense, with both robots exchanging blows and dodging attacks. But in the end, the champion's robot managed to land a critical hit on John and Luke's robot, disabling it and causing them to lose the match. Despite the loss, John and Luke were proud of what they had accomplished. They had built a robot from scratch, and had made it to the finals of the competition. They learned that even though they didn't win, the journey was what mattered most. They had faced many obstacles and challenges along the way, but they never gave up. They realized that the most important thing was to have fun and learn as much as they could. After the competition, they went back to their workshop, and decided to improve the robot. They worked on the robot, adding new features and improving its performance. They entered the competition again the next year, and this time they won, beating the reigning champion and taking home the prize. John and Luke's friendship and passion for robotics only grew stronger through the experience. They continued to build and compete with robots, eventually starting their own robotics company and creating robots that helped people in their daily lives. Okay, kids, that's the end of our story. If you liked the story, I'd love it if you'd give me a like. If you want to hear more stories, you can subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for your attention. Goodbye, Alicia.